Hi everyone, Dolly here with Crafty Mermaid Mom. I hope you guys are enjoying your day. In a previous video, I promised you all that I was going to take you through the process on how I create my Memorydex card boxes. So if any of you guys, or for those of you who do Memorydex cards, you will know that Heidi Swap created a box for these Memorydex cards a while back, which looks like this. And they did sell them on eBay for a while. I don't know if you can find any now, but I did hear that Heidi Swap was going to be releasing all of her, or re-releasing all of her Memorydex items again. So look out for these, but I wanted to show you what this looks like because I had purchased it a while back and never used it because I wanted to see how it was constructed and try to create one of my own. Also, if you guys have searched Memorydex card boxes on YouTube, you will know that there are several creative crafters out there who have done their own tutorial and videos on how to make boxes just like this. I know when I was first trying to see how to construct them, or when I was first trying to learn how they were put together, I had searched YouTube and there were various crafters who had created their own boxes. And the very first one that I found, which I liked her idea on her construction format, was Lollipalooza. So you guys check her out because she was one of the people whose videos, whose procedures that I did follow. And every time I watched a different video on how to construct these, it was a little different. And I can understand that because I think that when we watch these processes, we make it our own, and whatever is easiest for each individual, that's what they incorporate into creating or constructing their box, or incorporate into their method, which is what I'm going to show you today is my method. I am not the creator of these boxes. I am just showing you guys how I create my own and the little things that I have incorporated into my process. And so if you go back and watch my Memorydex challenge video, you will see that I did create 2 other boxes that were a lot longer. I wanted boxes that could hold or store more Memorydex cards. So for the purpose of this video, I wanted to do one that was or make one that was the same size as, pretty much the same size as what Heidi Swap had created, or what she was marketing before. So I made one that was a little smaller, and I decided to make one in the theme of a mermaid. So the reason why I chose a mermaid theme, obviously, is because I love mermaids, and because I had already created so many Memorydex cards in the mermaid theme, and I wanted a box to store them in. So as you can see, they're very simple to put together. Just by looking at this, you guys can probably see that it's very easy to take an old box that's already pre-constructed and just line it with your paper. But in this case, I actually constructed this box. So that is what I'm going to show you today. So let me go ahead and show you also the bottom of my box. This is what I used, are these doorknobs or drawer knobs for the footing, or for the feet of the box. I like the way that it did come out. It was very simple, and the front of it, I just took a die cut, or not a die cut, a piece of cut apart from a paper pad, a mermaid paper pad that I had purchased, and used that, and just used a little brad so that it could be like a little tiny spinner, and it just says mermaid at heart. And it's very simple, like I said, and I love how it came out. Now, I didn't want to make it too fancy because I know that it's going to be filled with all of my Memorydex cards, so I wanted my Memorydex cards to stand out as well. I'm going to go ahead also and let you guys know that this box, of course, isn't just going to be a simple box to create. It takes time. So obviously my video might be longer than what I anticipate. So I have also made it easier for myself in cutting out the process where it's just cutting and measuring, because I'm going to give you guys the measurements just to save time. Like I said, for the sake of making this video a little simpler, I just want to show you guys the processes, or the important processes that might be easier to see on video. So the first item that you are going to need is a glue gun. You will need a ruler. You will need scissors. You will need glue, and you guys can use just about anything as far as glue. I prefer, believe it or not, to use the Dollar Jot glue from Dollar Tree. For some reason, I like how quickly it dries, and that I can move it around, or that I can move the paper around when I'm using this. But if you choose to use another type of glue, that's fine. Also, I notice in a lot of other videos where people are creating or constructing this box, they use the two-sided tape, which I don't really like to use, because I want to be able to move my paper in place or move it around. So that's why I choose to use glue. You will also need a pen. You will also need a hole puncher, and just the single hole punch, standard size will work. You will also need, you guys, these jewelry bead clips, and I'm not quite sure, it says bead landing, I don't know what you call this, but they're like wire clips, and this is what kind of wire clip you're going to use. And you guys, again, when you watch this video and you watch other videos, you may incorporate another method where you don't need to use this. And let me show you what I use this for. I use this to cut my dowel rods. I've seen other people using blades to cut their dowel rods or other tools, but this is what's easier for me and what I have at hand, so that is what I choose to use. You will need a dowel rod, and you're going to need 2 pieces that measure the longest length in your box. And you guys, I purchased this dowel rod at Home Depot. They sell them in like the really long, I want to say it's maybe 4 feet or 3 feet, 3.5 to 4, I don't know. But this is how it comes in. It comes in 1/4 inch, and then I think a little larger, but I think 1/4 inch is the thinnest that they have. The other thing that I wanted to tell you is you don't have to use a dowel rod. I've seen other people use those large lollipop sticks or cookie sticks from Michael's. Those work as well. They're a little bit thinner, but they also work. So I should have brought those up. I did not bring those up. I did purchase some of those, but yes, you will need those. You will also need paper of your choice, and the printed paper that you're going to select is going to be what's going to cover your box, you guys. So you just need 2 designs, unless you want to go wild and you want your box to be really colorful. I always use 2 prints, 2 coordinating prints. So the 2 prints that I'm going to select are going to cover my box, which will be basically the sides, the bottom, the insides. So that's going to be 1 print. And as you can see, I chose, actually on this one, yeah, I only chose 2 prints, which was the scales and then this print right here, because I also use this print as my border. So one of the prints you're going to use for the border, and the other print you're going to use for your decorative lining to cover the remaining spots that aren't covered. And you'll understand more as we go into creating this, okay? So let me go ahead and put this aside again. So what I've done for the purpose of making this video shorter is I have pre-cut my paper. And so here, and don't worry, I'm going to get into the measurements of these pieces of paper. So these are all of my border pieces, okay? And these are all of my decorative pieces that's going to cover the entire box where the borders don't cover. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you the measurements for all of these pieces just for the sake of saving time, okay? And the other, before I get into that, the other thing I want to show you is, hold on, I still have more pieces here. You could see that this does require a lot of border pieces, and yes, it's, you're probably thinking, wow, that's a lot of work, but it's really worth it in the end. You're also going to need some type of a chipboard or cardboard, and I will give you the measurements like I said, but you guys, you don't have to use chipboard. What I do is sometimes if I get an Amazon package, I can use the Amazon box and just tear that apart and cut it into the appropriate sizes. So as you can see, you're gonna need one 8 by 4.5. You're gonna need two 8 by 2 pieces. These are going to be your sides, just like that. This is your bottom. You're gonna need two 4.5 by 2 pieces. You guys, I'm gonna write this all down so that you can take a quick snapshot of the measurements. And then your dowel rod stoppers, you're gonna need 2 pieces of 1.5 by 4.25 pieces, okay? So let me go ahead and show you the measurements for all these. Like I said, I'm sorry I didn't go through the process of cutting all of these with you guys, but this video will take forever if I do that. So I want to just explain to you the easy part so that you can do on your own. So you need your dowel rods. I'm going to take this away because I just wanted to show you how it actually comes when you purchase it at Home Depot or wherever it is that you might want to purchase your dowel rod. Here are the 2 pre-cut pieces, and what you're going to do is you are going to measure the dowels according to the longest length on your base of your box. So you can tell that it's a little bit longer than my base, because you want to be able to allow yourself room in case it doesn't fit. So you can at least cut a few, maybe even a centimeter or whatever off of that if it's a little too long. So this is probably about 8 1/16 of an inch long. So it's 1/16 of an inch longer than 8 inches. So 8 1/16 of an inch, I believe, is what I measured these at. Okay, so you have your dowel rods, and let me go ahead and show you guys what else, the final pieces that you will need. You will need something for footing, and you guys, actually, you don't need to have feet on your box, because as you can see, Heidi Swap didn't have any feet on her box. Hers is just a box with rods in it. So I like to put feet on mine, just like I did here. Let me go ahead and show you, just like I did here, and I used the drawer knobs. So instead, I am going to be using these large beads. So with these beads, you could either just use a hot glue gun and glue them to the bottom, or if you wanted, you could use some type of wire and screw them into the box if you wanted to do that much work. For me, I just used a hot glue gun. You guys, if it's a box and it breaks, or if it comes out, I can always use my glue gun to put it back, so I didn't mind that. Okay, so that is I think the last item you will need for this. So let's go ahead and put all of these aside for now. At least I'm just going to keep out the items that I'm going to start with, and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the measurements for all of these pieces so that you can actually take a screenshot of it. I'm going to move these aside, and let's go ahead and take a screenshot of the measurements for all of these pieces. And here it is. I'm going to go ahead and put it closer to the camera. So all of these are the measurements for the chipboard. You have your dowel rod measurements, or the dowel rod measurement, and you also have the paper cardstock measurements and all of your seam pieces. These are your seams, okay? So let me go ahead and put it closer so that you guys can take a quick snapshot of this and then use it later on. Take a snapshot of it and then print it out, and hopefully this helps you guys, okay? All right, so that is the measurements list or sheet. And so what I've done, what I like to start off with is my seams. And so you guys, really, you can make all of your seam pieces just using one sheet of paper. Okay, so what I want to start off with is the seams. As you guys can see, I have these 3 pieces of long seams left. And you guys, actually, this is the remainder of my paper that I'm not going to be using because all I need are these. And again, this was only one sheet of a 12 by 12 piece of paper. So I'm going to put this aside because this is just my extra if I mess up. I would advise you pre-cut the remainder so that you can just have these at hand to replace whatever you damage, or, you know, in case it doesn't go well. So I'm going to put those aside. So here are my seams, okay? So what I have here, I have 6 pieces of the 8 by 1 inch seams. I have 6 pieces of the 4.5 by 1 inch. And I have 8 pieces of the 2 inch by 1 inch pieces. So what I've done then, I'm just gonna show you really quick is, oh, I'm sorry you guys, I also forgot to mention, because this is such a big piece, you do need a paper cutter and a scoreboard. Now, if you don't have a scoreboard, obviously you're gonna need a ruler, and it's gonna take a little bit longer. So I would highly advise using your scoreboard if you have one, because it is going to make life so much more easier for you. So when you take your scoreboard and you're going to lay your 12 by 12 on here, it's going to cover this whole scoreboard. What you want to do on there is you are going to take this scoreboard and score your 12 by 12 at every 1/2 inch, you guys. So you're going to go all the way across and score at every 1/2 inch. And then once you do that, you're going to take your paper out and you're going to cut it at every inch. So you see what I have here? This was scored. This was an entire paper, 12 by 12, that was scored at every 1/2 inch. And I cut it into 1 inch pieces. And when I cut my 1 inch pieces, I ended up with having a score line on each of my 1 inch pieces. Okay? So that's how you get that, and it makes it so much easier, you guys. So now you have your pre-cut seams, okay? So now what you want to do is you want to take your cardboard or whatever it is that you have. I used box cardboard. If you have chipboard, that's fine too. You want to take each of your pieces and you want to go ahead and line them up in the formation that they would be in when you create your box. So I have here, here, and here. Let me do it this way so that you guys can actually see, because I'm not sure I'm fitting this all in frame. All right, so there you go. That is how it's going to look. Of course, some of the pieces are going to be folded up like this to form the box, okay? So what I want to do now is, my objective now is to use the seam binding right here to bind all of these pieces together. And the reason why I have so many pieces is because I'm going to bind these both in the front and in the back. So as you can see, some of my binding is folded inside or inward and some outward. And the reason for this is because you are going to need one for doing your seam inside, which is going to have to show the print, and then the other will be for the outside of the box where you seam, it's where you connect the pieces, and the seam is going to have to be this way. Does that make sense? All right. So let's go ahead and get started. I may have to fast forward this in the video, but I'm going to show you the process so that you can see for yourself exactly what I do. So as you can see, my box is starting to come together a little bit, so I just need to glue on the remaining pieces. Okay, I can start putting the seams on the inside, and of course you're going to want to turn your paper the opposite way so that the print is on the inside of the fold. And you're just going to stick those right in the corner just like this. You guys see that, what I've done here? I know there's glue all over the place, but it'll dry. So you want to just make sure that that's butted against the corner as much as possible. Just like that. Seems like I've got all of my seams covered except for the top. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do one here. We're going to do one here. And we are going to do the final ones. Oops. Here. Actually, I'm going to do these first. It gets cleaner that way. So we'll put these on first and then just like that. Okay? Okay, so we're almost there. See how it's coming along? I love that. I love that feeling. Okay, so now let's go ahead and pull out our paper where we are going to cover the exposed areas. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to do the inside first, you guys. I want to cover this first. See how that looks together? All right, so now I've done the inside. Can you see how you can't really tell that I did a quick job on putting the seams in? You really can't notice. And that's what I like about this is because, again, once you start putting all the pieces in place, it's really hard to tell where you messed up. Okay, let's do the outside now. Let's start covering up the exposed areas of the outside of the box. And again, just try to center your paper as best as you can. Okay, so you guys, we are done with covering up this box. Now I do want to show you how to put in the dowels and also how to put in or create the dowel stoppers. So see how pretty that came out? I love the way that looks, and I know you guys can do a great job, and you can make it your own because you guys will be able to select your own designs, your own theme, and your own printed paper. So, okay, so we're done with this portion now. You guys, here are the dowel stoppers, and they measure 4 1/4 by 1 1/2. And what's going to happen is we want to cover these up, you guys, okay? So, we're going to take paper and we want to cover these up, but they are going to go right in here just like that, and right in here just like that. So what we want to do then is we want to, before we cover these up, we're going to punch holes in here. And so what I like to do to make it easier, this is my method, rather than measuring these holes wherever they go, I take and what it is these holes are only an inch apart, you guys. So if you want to take a ruler, what you're going to do is you're going to center your ruler, and you can mark it if that's easier for you. So what I'm trying to say is find the center spot of your cardboard and just make sure the holes are 2 inches apart. And from the bottom, you guys, the holes should be at about starting line at about 1/4 inch from the very bottom. So I punched between here and here. That's 1/4 inch, okay? Sorry, you guys, my pen doesn't have any ink. All right, so that right there is 1/4 inch right in here. You guys see that? That is 1/4 inch. And so my hole punch started right above that, right in there, okay? And all I did was make sure these were 1 inch apart. That's it. And then so once you're done with that, this is where the dowels are going to go, by the way, okay? So these are going to fit perfectly in there, just like that. The reason why you need these stoppers is because these tend to get loose. And if you don't have the stoppers, see, this is a little big. I'm going to have to chip this. Oh, maybe not. Well, maybe not. I might have to trim this just a little. Sometimes these tend to fall or get loose, so that's why you want these. So let's go ahead and cover these up with the decorative paper before we put them in and before we glue them in, okay? Okay, you guys, I just realized that when I was doing my measurements, I totally forgot to add the measurements for the paper that will cover these dowel rod stoppers. So I'm gonna have to change that. I went back and I changed my measurement sheet to include these dowel rod board covers. And so here is the revised measurements. I've added this, which is the dowel rod paper cover. So this is the dowel rod paper, okay? That's just what I'm going to call it. All right, let me put that closer so that you guys can screenshot this. See, you guys, I kind of learn as I go too. I know I've made a couple of these, but sometimes putting together the instructions or the tutorial, you tend to forget too. At least I do. My memory is not that great. Okay, so for the covers, I know we already punched these, but that was for the purpose of me showing you guys how to find the measurements on this. And so your paper that you're going to cover this with, you don't have to worry about covering the whole thing. Remember, it's only going to show on one side like this. So you only want to cover the front part of your dowel rod stopper, or I'm going to call this, yeah, a stopper. So let's go ahead, and I've actually used a different color, you guys, because I went downstairs to find this paper and I ran out. So this was from the paper, same paper line, and it matches. So I'm going to use this instead. So let's go ahead and cover this. And again, when I repunch this, it's really easy to feel out where the holes are. So I don't have a problem with that. If you guys want to do your punches afterwards, feel free to do that. Like I said, I did want to punch this before I covered it so that I can kind of show you guys on here. So now you've got your 2 dowel rod stoppers, and I want to go ahead and re-hole punch where we've already punched the holes through the cardboard. And again, you don't have to do this through the cardboard. You can do it through the paper once it's, or through the cardboard once it's covered with the paper. All right, so now you have your 2 stoppers, and these are done. And so all I want to do now is make sure these are going to fit through here. And let me go ahead and turn on my glue gun really quick while we are waiting for the glue to dry a little bit longer on there. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on or plug it in so that it heats up a little bit. So then let's go ahead and stick the dowel rods in the holes right in here. And then these will go on the other side right in here. See how they fit perfectly into those holes. So now what you're going to do is you're just going to stick these in here just like that. Oops. It's just a matter of you tweaking it here and there. It's pretty simple to do that, you guys. All right, you guys, I can tell my video is going a little too long because my dog wanted to be with me upstairs because everybody else is still asleep. And so I brought him upstairs with me, and now he wants to jump off the bed. So I think he's ready to go downstairs and do his business. All right. All right, so there, the dowel rods are in. I just need to glue the dowel rod stoppers against the box. And then, let me see, I think that my glue gun should be pretty hot by now. Let's go ahead and put these aside. And then the last thing that we're going to need to do once we glue these sides in is to add our little legs to it. And then From there, I don't need to show you guys, but you can decorate. This is an old glue gun. I've had this forever. So you don't want to re-lift this and take them out because it's going to be hard to put it back in once the glue's in there. So what you want to do is you just want to kind of move this forward just like this. See how I have this stopper and you could kind of move it forward. So you're just going to move it forward and you want to go ahead and start squeezing that hot glue in there as much as you can. And then once it's in there, just press that up against the box just like this. You want to make sure it's in there. Just like that. And you're going to do the same to the other side. You're going to move this forward. You're going to go ahead and squeeze all of that hot glue in there. Make sure you get enough in there. All right. Press that in. Okay. All right, you guys, we're done with the inside. So there, this thing isn't going anywhere now. It's stuck in there. All right. So you've got your dowel rods in, and the final touch, or the final finishing touch, is to add the legs. And all I'm doing again is I'm using my hot glue gun. I'm going to turn it around, and you guys, I'm going to put these little tiny pearls in there to make them look like little feet or legs. And I'm going to go ahead and I want to put them just to the corner of where the paper is, just like that, where this this printed sheet is, right there. That should be fine. So actually, let's see, I'm gonna say right about here, and it doesn't, you don't really need to put that much, just a little will work. Okay. Oops. Okay, my beads are rolling all over the place. I just want to make sure this is straight. Okay. All right, so we got those two in, and see, you guys, it might not be perfect, but it's okay because nobody will really see underneath here. My dog is crying and he's saying, "Hurry, mommy, hurry." So I'm gonna go ahead and put those in just like that. And you guys, we are finally done, and there you are. You have your box. So see how cute the legs look on there? And that's what I love about using this hot glue gun. And you guys, we made this box so quickly. It was just a matter of a few minutes. I don't even think that was an hour, was it? I'm not sure. I'll have to see how long this video lasted. But then again, you know, of course you're going to have to pre-cut your own paper, but you know, you can do that when you have time. So look at that. We're done, you guys. We made a Memorydex card holder, and you can go ahead and put all of your cute cards that you create in here, and you didn't even have to buy a box. So here is your Memorydex card box, and it fits just as much as the Heidi Swap box that you would typically buy. And you saved money, and you got to make it your own and create it in the theme that you wanted to create it in. So I hope that this tutorial or this video was helpful. Again, this is my process, and if you feel like you need to check out others, I highly recommend Lollipalooza's video, which is where I learned to construct it and just kind of added my own tweaks and did what my method, and of course you can incorporate your own method. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Please look out for another video, because I would also like to show you how to create a Memorydex card box using a box that's already pre-constructed, and which means it would be even faster than how we made this. So look out for that video as well. Okay, so you guys, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll talk with you soon. Bye.